Hey folks, my name is Dave. Welcome to my shop here at NTD Racing. If you like what you see, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It surely helps us out. Right behind me is Honcho. We wrecked Honcho again. Let's go ahead and first roll the video. I'll show you how that happened, and then I'll talk about my fixes and how we're going to try to get this thing ready for the Vegas to Reno race and then the Baja 1000 this year. So here's how the crash happened. We've been riding this circuit all day long. So we've been over this hill about 20, maybe 30 times. And as you approach the top of this hill, you'll see this flag at the very top. You want to take that about 5 to 6 feet to the left of the flag. And in this case, as they go over this hill, and this is this driver's first time on this hill, he takes it too far to the right, just by a couple of feet, but it's just enough that as you see, as you go over this hill, it rolls this truck hard to the side. It actually lands on the side and slides forward right into the embankment. That's where the crash happens. Sure, it sucks seeing your truck with some bent metal, but I like to see the positives in some things. And here was the positive from this accident is we were taking safety seriously. And I was the last one in the truck checking over my buddy, making sure his shoulder harnesses were tight over his head neck restraint, and then also making sure his window net was up. And as he rolls over, he put his arm up and he has scratches down his arm. Had the window net not been there, it would have taken his arm right off. You know, when you're out there driving these trucks, you got to take the safety stuff seriously. It just doesn't take an extra couple of minutes. Put the stuff on, it might save your life. So obviously there were some lessons learned out there. And if you've been watching the videos up to this point, I said we were going to go out and try to break the truck. I didn't mean this bad, but we were going to go out and try and break the truck. So we did learn a lot of stuff. Let's go ahead and take it this point. I'm going to take you for a walk around the truck. I'm going to show you some of the things that we broke, some of the things we learned, some really valuable lessons, and then talk to you about how we're going to get ready for the next couple of races. So first and foremost, one of the most important things is that the roll cage did its job. It took most of the hit during this last collision right around here and up in the top corner. You can kind of see there's still some of the body parts bolted on right here. But the roll cage did awesome, and all the other safety gear, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. All right, it's a fast moving ball game. We only got about a month to get this thing moving again, so we're kind of out with the old and in with the kind of new. You can see where this thing took a hit, and it took right down the side here and over here in the corner, and it really doesn't look too bad unless you kind of look at it from over here, where it has become more of a parallelogram than any kind of symmetrical truck looking thing. So we're going to go ahead and take this chassis. Let me show you real quick how we got this thing, and then I'll show you later in a later video how we took it all apart. Again, kind of sad to see this one go, but this is a really nice one of the Razor grills. They're tough to come by. They're about 400 bucks. It's kind of toast. You really can't tell until you get down here. You can see how bent back it was as it took a hit right about here and bent that whole thing back and shifted it over. You can kind of see if we walk around and look on the back side some of the damage that went on, but we got to find another one of these, so we'll be fixing that up. So breaking the truck was actually one of our goals. We wanted to see what the weakest points were that we could fix. You know, obviously rolling the truck is not good, but we did break some other stuff. If you can see down here where the bump stop lands is right here, and it makes this huge divot into the A-arm. So we're doubling up that, and I'll have that fixed. In the future, what I would like to have is the bump stop up here on the suspension where it lands right on the top of that upper A-arm. And I think that will help with some of the forces that that bump stop is seeing. If you go over here and we look on the other side, the bump stop landed so hard, I've replaced it over here with a 3/16 doubler over 1/8 inch plate steel, and there's still a divot, and it actually hits so hard you can see it buckled the mount. So I'll be rebuilding this mount and getting that thing relocated. There is a bunch of stuff to talk to in relation to the transmission. Let's just start from the front. First of all, when we got the transmission mounted in here initially, one of the problems was, and we didn't figure it out until later when we were trying to put the cooling line on, is that the clearance in between this part of the roll cage and this manifold for the transmission was too tight. We ended up having to put as opposed to an AN8 line that was supposed to come out of there, we couldn't put the fittings in there. We had to put this thing back in, and you can see we have a couple lines just kind of spliced together. It eventually goes to a 1/2 inch line out to the cooler. So what we're doing is we're replacing that with a manifold that kicks out a 90-degree angle, and that'll be a different manifold. These will go to AN6 lines to and from the cooler, and that should work a little bit better. Hopefully get better flow, because we were overheating this thing, and you can see that these things are crimped. Why are they crimped? So what we found out is that at the Baja 1000, we took a big wreck and we basically had a massive load this way, which put a whole bunch of stress on this mount. And what ended up happening is there was so much stress that it ended up shearing these bolts. And we didn't figure this out until we removed the skid plates. You can actually grab the transmission and move it back and forth. And so what I think happened is that these lines were moving back and forth and they ran into the roll cage there, crimped those lines and reduced that flow. So I think that that manifold will help fix that problem. Also getting some better bolts for that transmission mount, maybe even redesigning that a little bit to work a little bit better and be stronger before the next race. One of the other things is just the cooling capacity that we needed for the transmission. We just didn't have enough cooling capacity. It might have been about the flow also, but we're gonna go ahead and change out this transmission cooler. As you can see where it's located, it is located behind the battery, and it's also located in front of the cooler that we're using to keep all of our tools. So we're gonna, first off, we're gonna go ahead and take this one off and we're gonna replace it. Let me show you the one we're gonna replace it with. We're gonna replace it with this cooler right here. I would like to go with a CBR one. I'm gonna give this one a try. It's obviously about maybe a third or a quarter of the price of the CBR one. But we'll see how it works. So the key thing that I'll be doing as I relocate the transmission cooler is I'll be placing it here, pulling air straight from underneath the vehicle, and hopefully getting better airflow over the transmission cooler. And all those things together, I think, should give us a cooler and better running transmission. And now for the last of the transmission drama. As you can see right up there, the transmission pan, as that whole transmission shifted forward, hit that cross member and bent. But that was fixed with a 5-pound mallet and a piece of wood on the backside. We'll see how that works. I think it should still be able to make a seal as I seal that thing back up and try to make it work. All right, this last change we're gonna make, I'm actually kind of excited about to see how well it works. These are BF Goodwrench KM3s, the 37-12-5 17s, and we've been chewing them up. You can see there's some damage on the tire. There's been no tire failure. We blew a tire because of a rim failure, but not a tire failure. They're actually really good tires. They're pretty expensive. So we're gonna go ahead and make a change because we need to get some more tires. So the tire that we are gonna swap to is this really cool tire called the Ironman All Country Mud Terrain. And anybody who knows me knows I love stuff that says Ironman on it. But anyway, the tread on this thing looks really killer. They're slightly wider, I think, even though they're the same size, the 37-12-5 17s. They are just slightly wider than the KM3 tire. The tread looks like it's gonna do really good, some really deep lugs on this thing. I'm excited to get this thing on the truck and put it to test, and we will be doing that before we take these things to the Vegas to Reno and also the Baja 1000. All right, so that was just a quick and dirty update of what's going on here in the garage. I thought it was worth explaining kind of what was going on and why we've been absent for about 2 weeks. It's just we are super busy, having to replace the entire body. That means we had to buy a truck, we had to disassemble the truck, we got to cut this one down. I've got to do the painting, we got to get decals back on it, and all those things got to be done within about a month. So stay tuned, I'll show you how we do that. If you like any of the tools or any of the stuff you see in this channel, check it out in our description below, or you can go to www.ntdracing.com, find the stuff that we use in our shop, or you just find out more about our team. I hope you like what you saw. Maybe you'll consider hitting the like and subscribe. If there's something else you want to see, please leave it in the comments below. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care of yourself.